How's it going, everyone? Phoenix Rapunzel here, and welcome back to another Infinite Magicraid video. Today, I want to take a minute and go through the legend heroes that are currently available in the game and talk about which ones would be my most wanted. I'm only going to pick one from each faction, and I'm only going to focus on legend heroes. I will put out another video about epics that you should consider building, and also with mythic heroes, like which one you should consider, depending on what your account looks like. But today we're just going to focus on legend heroes. And so I'm going to talk about like my most wanted, and in that sense, I'll also talk about like if I have them, then I'll talk about, you know, they're my favorite and this is why. So we'll go ahead and start with Dragon Tribe. This one is stacked with quite a few really awesome heroes. Out of these legend heroes, these 9 that are here, I would say my favorite is Melia. She is a single target HP burn machine, especially with her third skill, which basically transforms her into they call it the Valkyrie, but it gives her HP burn on every single one of her skills. If you up her exclusive, then it lasts for one more turn. You can put on HP burn as soon as she goes into that Valkyrie status, and then you can also increase the damage dealt. But she's just, I mean, consistent. She's very, very consistent if you build her right with landing her HP burn from her abilities. And then with the skill switch, again, she's got immunity to control effects, and there's 60% chance to counterattack, 100% if you build out her skills when she takes direct damage, and it cannot be stacked with counterattack. But like she consistently, like, she counterattacks when she's attacked. She puts on those HP burn layers, and she deals a lot of damage. I have her on my main account, and she is ridiculously powerful. So Melia would definitely be my favorite from the Dragon Tribe. Sword Harbor. I think the only hero that I have from Sword Harbor is this chick right here, Melina. Haven't really built her out. I would say my most wanted from this faction, besides Catherine, because Catherine is just crazy good with her counterattack. She does damage mitigation with consolidation. She heals. She puts shields on. She's really good in that sense. But I think my most wanted would be Sigmund, because he has such a versatile kit here. So first skill, he puts on HP burn, and he has like a leech mechanic built into that skill. His second skill is when he puts on the shield. And he also, again, he does HP burn. And depending on the layers of HP burn, they can deal extra damage if they're already under HP burn. So again, just extra damage built into his kit there. He takes less direct damage, and he has a 20% chance to counterattack when taking direct damage. Doubles the chance if the attacker is under HP burn. So again, if you're consistently landing HP burns, whether it's from him, whether it's from Hazonja, whether it's from Melia, whether it's from Quinlan, any of these other heroes that have HP burn built into their kits, he's a really solid person to have alongside those. And then his final skill here, 200% defense damage to all enemies with a chance, 60% chance books out to 100% chance to inflict HP burn. So again, lots of HP burn, but he is a defense-based hero, so he can take damage. If you build him as a tank, then he can soak up a lot of damage for your team. So I would like to have him to pair with my Melia so that they can, you know, do all their HP burn stuff together. Okay, going on to Sunset Sages. So again, I am only looking at the legend heroes here. So I'm actually fortunate enough to have Guhana. I would say my favorite hero is Guhana from this faction. I'm fortunate enough to have her on both of my accounts. She's basically like a slightly better version of Space, where she increases turn meter, she lands heals, or she gives heals to your team. She lands Severe Wound, which is reducing healing on the enemy team. She has damage mitigation built into her kit. So here's that Severe Wound. And then she increases the speed of your team while decreasing the speed of the enemy team. And then again, reduces the direct damage taken by all allies by 8. And that can go up to 12% if you build out her skills. And then if you build out her exclusive as well, this effect is reduced by 50% 2 turns after she acts. That's no longer reduced. So really, really, really solid there. And then her final skill, she restores hit points, she increases turn meters, she also does attack up. And this is really, really good, especially if you have your main damage dealers need extra attack. This is really good to help them. Yes, it is the smaller version of attack up, but it still helps to add something to your other heroes on your team. So I would say Guhana is definitely my favorite from Sunset Sages. I know I've heard good things about Walter. Walter is a poison machine. Alahan is a really good support hero as well. So you can definitely look at their kits. But for me, I would say Guhana. All right, going on to Foresters. So we have fewer heroes, legend heroes in this faction. And I think the only one I have from here is Megan. She's really solid with landing like Severe Wound. She does a couple of well, no, I guess just the one AoE attack, but she can deal a lot of damage when she's built right. But I would say my favorite and most wanted from Foresters would be Taff. So Taff is a poisoner. He is considered a support hero. So his kit, he has on his first skill, he has poison, and he has deep poisoning, which just increases the damage taken from poison. And that goes up to 200 if you do all the skills, if you do the skill scrolls here. 200% attack damage to a single enemy with 50% chance to land that poison as well as the deep poisoning. Second skill, he heals for 2 turns and he cleanses 3 layers of damage over time debuffs. So he takes off HP burn, he can take off burn, he can take off poison, he can take off bleed off of your team. Then that goes down to a 3-turn cooldown. So again, if that's constantly going on and he's paired with other support heroes who also do cleanses like Liz, then your team will basically never have damage over time debuffs on them. Passive skill, he has a 100% chance to inflict a layer of poison on all enemies for 2 turns at the beginning of each wave. So he's really good for like wave clearing in campaign or in Tower of Mark. He also deals 30%, goes up to 50% more poison damage. And then if you get his exclusive up, it increases the poison damage dealt by Taff by 50%. So it goes up even more. So it goes, as far as the skills go, it goes to 50%, but then you up his exclusive and it goes to 100%. So it's basically he's doubling his damage. Really, really good. And then his third skill, he's got an AoE with 100% chance to inflict a layer of intertwined, which just changes to stun after 2 turns. And then also puts on poison. So can also, if you up his exclusive, then he can also land severe wound along with intertwined. So anyways, again, really solid damage dealer, even with him being a support hero and with him landing all of those poisons. If you have a poison team, you absolutely need to have Taff there. So yeah, so Taff is my most wanted and favorite hero from Foresters. So let's go on to Doom Legion. So Doom Legion, everyone gets Margarita from logging in for 14 days. She is an AoE damage dealer. She can hit really hard if you build her right. I would say my most wanted, this one's a little bit tricky. I think I'm gonna go with Focus, just because he is so annoying to go against. When you're going through like the Doom Volcano, and when you're going against him in like different waves, also in Efreet and stuff, in the Dwarven Ruins, he can be really, really annoying. But that's also what makes him good. So his first skill, he does attack down. 60% chance to reduce or to put that attack down on goes up to 100% chance. Also take note, his damage is based on defense. Second skill, he puts Immortal on all allies for 1 turn, and then upping his exclusive layer of heal for 2 turns, and that goes down to a 3-turn cooldown. So if you have him built like tanky enough, or also if you have him with other support heroes, then again your team is going to survive pretty well. And Immortal is basically, it just makes your team unkillable for that 1 turn there. If it were like 2 turns and then it went to a 3-turn cooldown, it would be like ridiculously good. It's still good as is, but it would just increase it. Like it would increase his utility that much more. Okay, then his passive, he's got increases turn meter when an enemy dies and increases all allies' turn meters when an ally dies. So he's got that turn meter manipulation there, where he's boosting that turn meter up. There's 20%, then it goes 22, 24, 27, 31%. And then his exclusive, end of each turn increases 15% turn meter for the ally with the lowest turn meter. So again, he's consistently boosting those turn meters so that your allies can take more turns or get to their turn faster. And then it increases the allies' turn meter by 100% and resets their active skills cooldown. Meanwhile, it increases their attack by 40% for 1 turn. The cooldown of this skill cannot be reduced or increased by other effects. So this goes down to a 5-turn cooldown. Again, he is boosting the rest of your team. So he's really, really good for that support hero that is just keeping your team alive. So yeah, I would say Focus would be my favorite and my most wanted from Doom Legion. All right, Holy Light Parliament. Again, we only have 7 legend heroes from here. And this one, I'm going to say Elena. When I first actually pulled Elena on my main account, and at first I was like, oh, I'm not really sure about her, because I had seen some other reviews on her and how, she's not that good. And someone actually commented and was like, don't sleep on Elena. She's actually really good. So I took a look at her kit and I was like, wow, she is really good. So her first skill, she's got 200% defense damage to a single enemy and transfers all self debuffs to them. So any kind of debuff she has on herself, she's giving straight to them. Reduces the target's defense by 30% for 2 turns if no debuffs are transferred. So she's at least putting on 1 debuff on her target. Whether it's the ones that she already had on her or whether it's the defense down. So then her second skill, 140% defense damage to all enemies and removes all of their buffs. So she is a buff removal, like that's her skill set, is those buff removals. Really, really good there. And then if you get her exclusive up, 70% chance to reduce all enemies' speed by 40% for 2 turns. And that whole thing goes down to a 4-turn cooldown. So in Arena, this is massive. If you're taking away all buffs and you're building like a go second team, having Elena on that team would be ideal, so that she can again rip those buffs off and be like, sorry, no, you got to start over. So then her passive reduces the crit damage taken by all allies by 18%. When she survives, when multiple skills increase this attribute, only the strongest one will take effect. So 18%, and that goes down to 26 crit damage reduction when it is when you use your skill scrolls. So, and then if you up her exclusive, increase the crit damage of all allies by the same amount of crit damage reduced of all enemies. So if you have her exclusive built out to level 2, and you've put in the skill scrolls needed to bring this up to 26%, then automatically your team gets an extra 26%. And that can be, that just instantly boosts all of your big damage dealers who deal damage based on like crit rate and crit damage. I can just imagine like what this would do with my Daisy on my free-to-play. Just crazy, crazy good. And then her final skill, her third skill, cleanses all attribute debuffs of all allies and restores hit points by 12% of max hit points to all allies. So that goes up to a 14, 16, 18% max hit point regeneration and a 4-turn cooldown. And then she can also put on a shield if you've gotten her exclusive that high. So overall, really, really solid support. I would say one of the better support heroes in the game. Especially, I'm thinking if you put her with like Liz, who cleans off those damage over time debuffs, and then she cleans off the attribute debuffs. Again, like your team's not going to be affected by any of the debuffs that the enemy tries to put on. So yeah, Elena definitely would take it for me for the Holy Light part of it. All right, the Forgotten. These guys are all very interesting. The only one I've really looked at their kit for is May, and that's just because I pulled her. But let's take a look really quick. So we've got Hisaro. Hisaro does bleed. I think Ivy Lee has talked about him. So we got bleed there, severe wound, more bleed, attack up, more bleed. So basically like a straight bleed champ. Then there's Tuck. Tuck does, we got freeze, more freeze, more freeze, lots of freeze. So we have bleed, we have freeze, we have, this is like turn meter. We got some freeze in here as well. And then we got some defense down, tenacity down. Zyra, I believe Karzak the Bull just released a video on Zyra and a spotlight of her. She does some AoE damage here. She also lands like attack down, defense down. She's got freeze and silence. This can be really, this can be really hard to go against, whether in arena or in waves. Usually when I go against Zyra, I try to get rid of her first so that she doesn't land this silence on my heroes. Her passive, she gains 5 layers of Eternal Night at the beginning of each wave. Each layer increases her effect resist by 10% and reduces the damage she takes by 4%. So she's got that damage mitigation built into her kit, but it's only for herself. I think that's the hard thing with her is if I feel like it could be so much better if it were like the effect resist for everyone, but because it's just for her, I mean it's good that it keeps her survival rate up. But yeah, I don't know. That's just my thoughts on that one. And then 200% defense damage with 30% chance to inflict freeze or stun or silence or hypnotize or horrify on every target for 1 round. So she actually has quite a bit of control built into her kit. I know. I think I'd probably say she'd be my most wanted, but let's take a look at the other ones really quick. Gramdy does a lot of freeze in his kit. Yeah, lots of freeze, lots of speed down. May, again, she does a lot of AoE damage. She's got horrifying effect res down and built into her kit. At the end of her turn, she deals extra damage to enemy targets with debuffs. And then Thanatos. I mean, first off, he just looks freaking sweet. Look at that scythe right there, though. Okay, so he has, 240% attack damage to a single enemy. Removes shield and ally protection, and then deals 2 stages of 200% attack damage. So he removes those buffs. And then gains 1 layer of soul after casting it, which increases his self-crit damage by 15%, up to 5 layers. So if he does Ghost is almost like, oh, what's the one? I forget what the buff is, but basically like it makes you invisible and you can't be targeted by enemies. They have to target everyone else before they can target you. And then he takes 14% less damage from enemy targets that are not under life extortion. And life extortion it reduces the buff owner's healed effect and shielded effect by a certain amount. So this is like, hey, the Grim Reaper's coming after you. You're not going to be healed as much. You're not going to be shielded as much because he's targeted you, basically. So like Thanatos is like I guess the Grim Reaper of the game, even though he doesn't have a hood. Anyways, so last skill, inflicts life extortion on a single enemy, deals 620% attack damage, reduces healed effect and shielded effect of enemy targets under life extortion. Only 1 enemy target inflicted with life extortion at a time. Okay, so yeah, he can only have this this effect on 1 person at a time. So that means that from that 1 person that has that life extortion on, he takes 14% less damage and then deals 50% more damage to them. Oh, sorry, no. 14% less damage from enemy targets that are not under that life extortion. I read that wrong. Apologies. And then 50% more damage to enemy targets that are under it. Okay, so that's Thanatos. And I think that's it for that faction. So, again, I think I'm going to say Zyra, again, just because of all of that control that she has built into her kit. I would say she's my favorite and most wanted from the Forgotten. Okay, Eternal Sect. This one is interesting because we actually just had a new hero added in, Mamek, who, from reading his kit, it's almost like it mimics Whim in a way. Or I guess not Whim. No, it would be, oh, who is it? I think it's actually, no, not Sword Harbor. It's, Yeah. Okay, so it's Hal 9000. It kind of mimics Hal because he has the taunt. But from what I can tell with what other content creators have said, Mamek is not all that he's made out to be. He's not one that I would choose for my favorite. Anyways, my favorite from this faction would be Quinlan. Quinlan is really good with AoE HP burn. So he's got on his first skill, he actually has a chance to place freeze and HP burn with all of his skills. So 2 stages of 80% attack damage each to a single enemy. The first stage has a 15% chance to put freeze on, and then the second stage has a 40% chance, can go up to an 80% chance to inflict a layer of HP burn. Second skill, 25% of max hit points is deducted from himself, so you want to build him with lots of hit points. Deals 2 stages of attack to a single enemy, each of which deals damage by 6% of his max hit points, and then an extra 6% damage of the target's hit points, max hit points. And then each of them, they caps at 24% of Quinlan's max hit points. This skill's damage is considered HP burn. So, and that can go up by quite a bit. The cap goes up to 30%, and then the damage goes up to 7.5 of Quinlan's max hit points, and the extra damage goes up to 7.5 of the target's max hit points. And again, it is considered HP burn damage. So there's, again, lots of like HP burn damage built in here. And then passives, he has a 100% chance to inflict HP burn on enemy targets whose speed are not lower than self for 2 turns at the beginning of each wave. So if you do not want to build him for speed, you want to build him for like effect hit, so he can land his HP burn, and then also HP to make him like more tanky, and also build up his like this ability here with his max hit points. He deals more HP burn damage to targets under freeze, and it's nice that he has freeze built into his kit. And then his last skill, we've got 3 stages of attack to all enemies, deals damage by 2% of Quinlan's max hit points, and extra damage by 2% of the target's max hit points. So this is like an AoE version of the erosive spear, his second skill. Each stage's damage caps at 8%, but this goes up to, let's see, so 2%. So it would go up to 2.6% of his max hit points. The extra damage goes up to 2.6 of the target's max hit points. And then the damage cap goes up to 10.4% of his max hit points. Again, it's the damage is considered HP burn. So then after that, there's a 70% chance to inflict freeze on enemies under HP burn. And then a 70% chance to inflict a layer of HP burn on enemies not already under HP burn. So pairing him with other HP burn heroes, I mean, he can deal a lot of damage there. But he can also be built tanky if you increase his hit points enough. So, again, I do have Quinlan on my main account, and I'm slowly but surely building him. And he's been really good so far. So he would be my favorite from the Eternal Sect. Okay, Nameless Brotherhood. So, this is... this choice is kind of interesting. And I'm warning you now, it is a little bit biased, because this was the first legend hero I ever pulled in this game, besides Space and Margarita, because those ones are just given free. It's actually Sintin. So Sinton is an arena master because he has so much control and counterattack built into his kit. His first skill inflicts provoke. His second skill also inflicts provoke. It actually does more. Well, it doesn't inflict provoke. It actually deals more damage to targets under provoke. His passive, 60% chance to counterattack when taking direct damage. If you up his exclusive, then when he attacks targets under provoke status, he deals 40% more direct damage, and then he can also basically heal himself a little bit every time he launches counterattack. And then his final skill here, his third skill, he increases his own defense, and then has a 60% chance, books out to 90% chance to inflict provoke. So if you build him for, he is defense based, but if you build him for damage, and you also build him for effect hit, like he can really control the arena, and he is so good there. So I would say of the Nameless Brotherhood, Sinton is my favorite. And finally, Wizard's Eye. This one I was kind of going back and forth on, just because we actually have quite a few legend heroes here that are really decent. I mean, ever since I first started and I found out that one of Anna's skills is called Phoenix Dance, I was like, oh, I really like her. But as far as most wanted, I would have to say Guilliman. Guilliman just barely came into the game, and she has a unique kit. So she is a support hero. She has, on her first skill, 220% attack damage to a single enemy, 60% chance goes up to 100% chance to inflict resist buff for 1 turn, and then she gives her this layer of arcane. This layer of arcane goes into her second skill here. Transfers all arcane owned by self to Wisdom Runestone, and then generates 4 Wisdom Runestones, and then shoots them all afterwards. They prioritize the main target when attacking, and then they switch to attack the enemy target with the lowest hit points when the main target dies. And each of those runestones deals 120% attack damage. So if she has, and her arcane can be stacked up to 5 layers. So basically she can have up to 9 runestones out and attacking. And if each of those runestones are dealing 120% attack damage, 120 times 9 is 1,080. That's a lot of damage. And then even then, that can go up to, so 1,080, 1,090. Actually, no. This would just increase this. So then it would go up to 160% attack damage. 160 times 9 would be, let's see, 1,600 minus 16 would be 1,500, and I'm trying to do math in my head. 1,584, I think. Now I'm double checking it. Oh, just kidding. 1,400. Yeah, 1,440. It wouldn't be minus 16, it'd be minus 160. So yeah, 1,440% attack damage. That is a lot of damage. And then, if you up her exclusive, increases the number of Wisdom Runestones additionally generated from 4 to 6. So then you can have 11 there. you can have 11 rune stones, and if they're all dealing, if we're maxing this out here, 11 times 160, that is 1,760% attack damage. Plus the runestones have an additional 40% piercing rate. Like, this ability in and of itself is just, it can be crazy, crazy good. Whether or not you have the exclusive up or you have the skill scrolls put into it, it can still be so, so good. She reflects silence effect to the inflictor. This is her passive skill. Removes a random buff from an enemy whenever the attribute debuff on this enemy is cleansed. So whenever an attribute debuff on an enemy is cleaned off, then she also takes away one of their buffs, which can be really good in arena in particular. 60% chance to grant self 1 layer of arcane when the buff is successfully removed from the target up to 5 layers. So again, because of her passive, if she takes off those buffs when an enemy cleans off the attribute debuff, then she can put on that arcane. And then she can refresh the cooldown of bursting knowledge if she has 4 more layers of arcane at the beginning of her turn, or she grants herself 2 layers of arcane if she has no layers or less than 4 layers of arcane. So that can be nice to build up to her bursting knowledge skill. And then her final skill, 200% attack damage to all enemies, removes all buffs from them with 50% chance, goes up to 80% chance to reduce their speed by 40% for 2 turns. And again, exclusive, she additionally casts bursting knowledge as soon as she's done with this intellectual prison. So she goes straight into this. Potentially it is a big damage dealing ability. So lots to play around with there. And I mean, again, she looks really sweet, and she would be one I would be very, very excited to get and build. So that is it. We just barely went through all of the factions. I talked about the legend heroes specifically. Let me know down in the comments, you guys, which legend hero from any particular faction is your favorite and or your most wanted, and why. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, I ask that you do so. I am trying to build it up and produce more content for you guys, so I would appreciate you subscribing and showing your support for that. Thanks again so much, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace.